Welcome back. You can't talk about black excellence without discussing the challenges Milwaukee's black community has had to overcome. To talk about those hardships, this is Reggie Jackson. He's the head griot, head storyteller here at America's Black Holocaust Museum. Thank you so much for spending some time with us today. We were talking a minute ago, is the civil rights era. People think of that as the 1960s. It's not. It's still alive today. There are still battles to be fought today.
Absolutely. You know, people don't understand that that was the beginning of the process of having America stand up to the ideals of the Founding Father and making it something that applied to all of us in a way that we had never done before. And so those efforts continue because we still see that despite the progress that we've made, we still see people that want to kind of take us back in time to an age where everyone didn't have the right to vote. You know, we want to make sure that people understand that the efforts will be consistent, continual, until we see everyone have the same rights in America.
When we saw the Black Rights Matter marches a couple blocks away from here 2 years ago, that reminded a lot of people of the other big movements we saw come out of Milwaukee, the housing marches, the school desegregation movement. Milwaukee is steeped in this.
Milwaukee is absolutely steeped in that, and I think one of the most important things to understand about what we saw with the Black Lives Matter movement, marches and protests, and what we saw in the open housing campaign, the desegregation campaign that Milwaukee was leading, it was young people. Young people have always been on the forefront of that. NAACP Youth Council, you know, were the ones who were marching across the 16th Street Viaduct. Young people were actively involved, and that's something I think we need to do more. Teach the young people that you were actively involved in this, and we talk about Father Groppe and Vale Phillips and all these famous people, but let's focus more of the attention on the power that young people in our communities have, and they've shown us that the last couple of years as well.
Our last minute here, this is 5,000 square feet, 500 years of history. What do you want people to carry with them when they leave this place?
Well, I want them to leave with the spirit of Dr. Cameron, the founder of the museum. A man who survived a lynching at the age of 16, survived being forced to witness a lynching at the age of 8, but had no hatred in his heart. A man who wanted America, in his words, to become a nation that was full of people that were one single and sacred nationality. He wanted us all to come together to make America live up to the ideals of the Founding Fathers. He said the Founding Fathers are brilliant, except that what they created didn't apply to everyone. So what we want people to do is to walk through that history, understanding how these things have not applied to African Americans, so that we know how we got to where we are today. And as we move forward and we make the progress towards racial repair and reconciliation, we have the tools necessary, the historical knowledge, the context of the journey that we have ahead of us.
Because the movement hasn't stopped. Reggie Jackson, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. We'll be right back.